I have absolute pleasure of introducing Glenn. He's actually was originally worked in the police force and left back in 2005. And it was really interesting as we were talking about his background and so on. And he never thought that he had transferable skills. You think you're a police officer, what sort of skills do you have that will map into sales or marketing or everything. And it is literally the skills that he has is exactly what's needed. Trustworthiness and the ability to understand people and their psychology and how those things work. And also as well, just that kind of my impression of him as a person is very methodical. Doing the right thing in order, and I always find myself attracted to that. I think that's a really cool skill. And so he's taken it and taken it into digital marketing. He was the sales director for Surefire Media, which is one of the best SEOs. I do SEO and I love their work. I always, anytime I came up against them, I'd be like, damn it, you're doing such good work. So, and he grew that business up to $4 million. $5 million with a really short space of time. And a huge way that he's done that is using LinkedIn. And the mechanisms that he's using for that I think is really, really important and really good. He's going to tell you about his LSV. So LSV. LST.
LTV.
LTV, there you go. And it's cool. It's really, really, really awesome. And he's going to go into that in much better detail than I have. So all good. And then from there, what he's done is he's gone into another company called Connector with a K, because K's are cool. And then from there, he's been basically using LinkedIn and social networking and social media to grow the business massively in a really short space of time. So I'm very excited about LinkedIn marketing. I've used LinkedIn marketing over my whole career, so I'm very excited about what you have to cover. So without any further ado, I will hand you over.
Wow. Thanks, Jay. Let's do the obligatory. Is everyone here wanting to connect with more people as well? To use this to network and to meet more people. So before we even kick off, let's do the obligatory. Get your phones out, open up LinkedIn. Does everybody know the Find Nearby feature in LinkedIn? Okay, so if you open up LinkedIn, go to your contacts, so the little button at the bottom that's got the two little people, and then up at the top in the middle, there should be a button that says Find Nearby, and it should by default be on off. This only works when you have it on and the other people around you have it on. If you turn that on, yes, this is Tinder for LinkedIn. It'll come up with all the other people that have got that function on, and you can send them connection requests. So Lisa, can I send you a request with your permission? This is my personalised invite, by the way. Melody. Excellent. Chelsea. Awesome. Everyone's in there. So, real simple thing. If you're at a networking function and you don't have cards, a lot of people don't even carry business cards anymore. Your MC, whoever's organising that function, it's one of the simplest and easiest ways to get people to start connecting. And it's just a good little talking point as well. So now that we've got that out of the way, I'm going to turn it off. And I'm going to turn my ringer off, and we can crack into this. So when it comes down to LinkedIn, what are you using it for? I want to make this a little bit interactive, because there is nothing worse than sitting in a room listening to somebody preaching about how good they are at what they're doing. So is anybody using it to actually try and directly attract customers? Yes. Excellent. Yep. Do you directly reach out to them and try and sell to them, or are you trying to post content and engage with people so that they then reach out to you? Second option? Excellent. You're the type of people that I really like already. Right, so when it comes to LinkedIn, this is what I want you to think of. Imagine a bar. And for me, LinkedIn is like this amazing club that you can walk into. It's a place that you can walk into, and there is this really cool bar where you've got all of the CEOs, all of the GMs, all of the sales managers and the marketing managers all hanging out in the same place. You can sidle up to a table, you can listen to the conversations that they're having, you can find out what they're interested in, and you can start slipping in and joining in some of those conversations with no gatekeepers. No one's going to stop you from engaging and communicating with those people that you've got the ability to build a relationship with it. And the real critical thing about this is, and I'm going to get to this in a little bit, but what I try and teach people is the money isn't in LinkedIn. The money isn't in Facebook. The money is in building a relationship that you can then take that connection online and move it into an offline, real world relationship. People buy from people they like, they trust, and they value. And that is where the LTV comes from. Right, so a couple of stats. In New Zealand, over 1.5 million users already registered on LinkedIn. Nearly 10,000 CEOs, nearly 13,000 general managers. For those of you that are looking for decision makers in sales and marketing, there are, I think, around 14,000 sales managers and around 9,000 to 10,000, I think it was 9,000 marketing managers with that in their job titles on LinkedIn. So there is such an amazing opportunity for us to start engaging, interacting, and attracting those people to us as individuals, and by proxy, our companies that we work for or with. So again, people still want to do business with people. It doesn't matter how strong you are in any other area, there is one thing that really matters. And this is what I talk about all the time, whether it's in the corporate training gigs that I do, the public course that I run. It's what we call the Ltv Factor. Anyone in accounting? Whew. We've got a couple there. Banking. So some people talk about LTV as lifetime value. So what I talk about when we talk about LTV is these three core things. So these are the three core pillars that you need to work on to start using an attraction marketing strategy when it comes to LinkedIn. So likability, trust, and the value that you bring to those relationships. So you can be a likable rogue. Okay, you can be the guy with a great, or girl with a great product and service, but do I really trust you? Not sure. You can have a great product. You can be really, really trustworthy, right? I know exactly what I'm going to get from you, but if you're an asshole, somebody else is probably going to get the job ahead of you. And you can be a great guy and be incredibly trustworthy, but if your product or your service is subpar and terrible, you're going to lose out again. So those are the three core pillars that you need to work on. And does anyone go to the content planning workshop just before with Josh from Marsh? Yep. John absolutely nailed it when it came to those. You need to be thinking about, what do I need to be posting that is attracting people to us, not always pushing out and selling. And 10B, I was thinking about 10B Pal, my God. The ABT side of it as well is telling the story. So this is an incredibly powerful and incredibly simple methodology that you can utilize to strengthen your brand and to attract clients to you rather than go out there and try and knock on doors and sell. So there's three focus areas around engagement posts, engagement posting, and meetings. Okay, so engagement. What did we hear about in that very, very first session? It's around intentionally crafting your story. So the intent around how you utilize LinkedIn is really, really important. There are a lot of people out there, and I used to be one of these as well, who would classify themselves as a LinkedIn lurker. So by that, I mean, you open up LinkedIn, you scroll through the posts, you see what you like, occasionally you'll go, yep, I like that. Rarely do you say something, and very rarely do you actually post. Okay, so a LinkedIn lurker, there are so many of those people out there, all right? How are you going to get noticed? Okay, but just as importantly, you should never discount the power of consistently engaging and consistently posting on LinkedIn, because I'm sure each of you that are self-confessed LinkedIn lurkers will say at some stage the content and the tone and the messaging that you have seen from different individuals has made you go, I'm going to reach out to that person in some way or fashion, or if I get the opportunity, I want to work with them. It doesn't, just because you haven't actually engaged with them, it doesn't mean that you don't want to work with them. So as somebody that is trying to go out there and tell their story and post and do all that, don't get caught up in the vanity metrics, okay? The real metrics that matter are inbound messages, or people that are reaching out to you, because you just do not know how the impact that your activity on LinkedIn is happening. So one of the most powerful things that you can do is actually start engaging. All right, if you're nervous about posting, start by engaging in their content and having some intent around how you do it. You need to make it about them. So when you actually engage in their posts, it's really important that you elevate them rather than say, look at me. Because if you think about, does everyone remember the Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, real old school stuff? Some of that stuff never goes, it is such a powerful book and it's been so successful. Why? Because there's so many truisms throughout the whole thing. And one of the most powerful things that he talks about in that book is people like the sound of their own voice. So if you're at a networking event, if you're talking to anybody out there and you start asking them questions about themselves, if you ask them what they're doing, if you elevate them and you say, and you are interested in what they are talking about, they'll remember you and they'll come out of that conversation and they'll go home and they'll go, I met this most amazing person. They were so good to talk to. We had such a great conversation. They won't have a clue what it was that you talked about yourself, but they'll remember you as a person. So when you are making your engagement about them and then adding a little bit of value and adding your 2 cents, then you're having a positive impact on them and you're helping them associate you with positivity. The way that the LinkedIn algorithm works, and I'm not on the inside, but this is through years and years and years of observations, is think about the LinkedIn algorithm as a very early Facebook, okay? So if you start engaging with people, all right, that's going to trigger the algorithm to go, oh, these people have got something in common. They've got something of value that they are showing to each other. So I'm going to start showing your content to them and their content to you. Okay, so if you're just constantly scrolling, you're leaving it up to the gods to decide whatever crap comes into your feed. If there is somebody out there that is posting things that you like and are of value, I would highly encourage you to start actively engaging, and more than just a like, actually commenting on it and giving your opinion or saying something nice about it, things like that, because that will help you get more of that.
Can you engage
You can, but here's the thing, right? If I get back to that, right? One thing that brands need to start allowing their people to do more is engaging as individuals. Yes.
What you were just saying about the LinkedIn algorithm.
Yep.
Does that apply to, you mentioned likes and commenting. What about the direct messaging platform? Is that included in the algorithm? Do they take that?
Yep. But here's the big but. I'm going to get to this in a minute, but don't just go straight for the punch. When there's somebody that you want to reach out to, and I'll get to this in a little bit later on when we start talking about how to actually get meetings with people in your network, there's a real simple methodology that you can go through to rapidly increase your chances of securing that meeting. And it comes through engagement first. You need to start the conversation in the feed. Don't start your conversations cold with direct messages, because the likability, the trust, and the value is born and it grows in the feed. The feed is everything, all right? That's where it all starts. And if you don't start in the right place, then your chance of success of securing those meetings and securing that business rapidly diminishes. So you need to make it about them. So people appreciate it when you engage with their content. That makes you more memorable, and there's a much greater chance that what's going to happen then, they are going to start engaging with your content, because they're like, oh, they're really nice, they engage with my stuff, I'm going to start engaging with yours. It's just basic psychology. And while this sounds simple, completely appreciate that simplicity doesn't necessarily mean it's easy, because just like Jordan was talking about earlier on, how many months was he going after that first viral video? 6 months, every single week, consistently, every Monday, putting out a video before something popped again. So that's where simplicity and making it easy are two very, very different things. You need to believe that this process will work for you and stick to it.
I had a question about the comments. When you comment on someone's post,
Mm-hmm.
and then somebody else makes the comments, do you get the notifications?
Yep. Yes.
And that's what pushes up the post?
Yep. So your reach and your engagement will be driven by, number one, how fast and how soon somebody reacts to it and engages with it, and then it's about how often. And you'll also find, and you'll see, I get to this shortly, you'll see in your feed that somebody in your first degree has commented or liked on some content of somebody that isn't in your first degree of connections. So this is where stalking your way to success can really come into play. Okay? So what I want you to do now is get your phones out again, open up LinkedIn, and start scrolling through your feed, and you will see there will be content in there, just like this. Oh, it's gone. It's been hidden. Never mind. There is content in there that it'll say, there'll be a little note at the top of it that says, so-and-so liked or commented on this. And the person that actually posted it will be in your second or third degree. Most likely your second degree. So if you want to grow your network without just randomly going and saying, other people you may want to connect with, start engaging with those people that are coming up in your feed from the second degree. All right? And you use that same intentional engagement by liking and commenting on their post, adding your value and adding your opinion, then your content is then going to start showing up in their feeds as well. Because you're then it's going to be much easier for you to connect with them, because they're like, oh, once again, somebody that I like, I'm now going to start looking at some of their content, and I'm going to trust and value what they're doing. So real simple methodology. Stalk your way to success. If you see anyone in there that you want to connect with, don't just hit the connect button. Please. Damn, it's not that easy. Again, this is where it comes down to building that relationship. LinkedIn is the long game, okay? Everything that you do on LinkedIn, you need to think about the long game. Business doesn't just happen overnight on LinkedIn, but the relationships that you build can be massive, long-term relationships that drive you more business than you could possibly handle. So when you see that content from people in your second and third degree that are associated with people in your first degree, does everyone know what I mean by first and second degree? Sometimes I just got to make sure that you pitch it to the right audience. That's the perfect opportunity. That's how you're going to grow your network and grow your influence and grow the impact, is by actively and intentionally engaging with those people. And take it back 2 or 3 steps here. What is the purpose? Why are you actually on LinkedIn? Well, what is growing your network going to help you achieve? And what do you want out of that network? So why are we all afraid to say that I'm on LinkedIn to make money and to win business? Because we're afraid for somebody to, this is that tall poppy thing, right? We're afraid for somebody to go, oh, he's just here to sell me crap. All right? In the end, that's what it all comes down to. I want to do business with you. I want to do business with you. But to do that, I need to build a relationship. Yeah? That's where it's not Tinder. Yeah, my goodness. All right? So feel free to stalk your way to success. Right? Jump in there. Start engaging with that other content. You will find that before you even start reaching out to those people after you've engaged a few times, that those connection requests are going to start coming to you because you're the one that is giving first. You're the one that's adding value to their stream and to their content, and they're going to go, wow, actually, I want to connect with that person. So that again reduces that fear factor of, oh God, are they going to want to connect with me? Am I going to get rejected again? No. Right? If you give first, you are going to get those connection requests. You're going to start that journey to build those relationships.
Can I ask you a question? Do you do that just to, is that like you have to pay to do that?
Nope.
Okay, so you don't have to have the paid version.
No. Very good point though. So one of the really important things that I use the paid version, right? But I only use the first tier up. And the only reason and the only bit of value I see in that is that you get to see people that have actively viewed your profile in the last 90 days. Okay? And that information gives you the ability to then go, oh, actually, number one, how much impact am I having? These people are actually interested in me. But number 2, cool, actually, I do want to do business with Jay. I'm either now, because he's shown an interest with me, I'm going to send him a personalised connection request. And it can be as simple as, hey, tongue in cheek, saw you check me out, looked at my profile, love to connect. Or have a look at his activity, go and find one of his posts that he's written, and then engage with that post. Stalk your way to success. Yeah? Of course you can.
I've seen some technology, so just with our account,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm doing my sales, the first thing I do in the morning is I go and check everyone's who's looked at me.
Yep.
If any of them are open leads, I call them straight away, and all of them go, "Do I believe it? I was just thinking about you."
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually at the point of buying.
Yep.
And I literally, that one thing doubled my close ratio from that morning call up that I do, literally doubled.
Yep.
I have seen a tool which, I don't know if you've seen it, if they look at your site, look at your profile, it connects, and then LinkedIn, and then looks at theirs. It's just
Yep. So those tools are actually in breach of LinkedIn's policy. So any interaction needs to be personal and personalised. So there is, I'm not even going to say their names because I don't want you to go out there and try and cheat the system, okay? But there are a bunch of tools that you can do to automate engagement, automate connection requests, automate viewing other people's profiles, and it's the fastest way to get yourself kicked off the platform and lose your entire network.
Again, I had numerous people come in daily requesting to be LinkedIn with me.
Yep.
I'm very selective.
Mm-hmm.
Am I hearing from you that engage with everybody? Because I'm really worried that I'm going to get all of this stuff coming to me, via this guy.
A really good point, and it does have to come down to you as a person. Excuse the crass terminology, but I refer to myself as a LinkedIn whore. Right? I will connect with pretty much anybody, but I'm also very, very fast to disconnect. So you don't know who they're connected with. All right? You can jump into their profile and then have a look at the. One thing I do, a couple of things. If they don't have a profile image, I'll never connect with them. Okay? You don't know who it is. Is it somebody that's just doing it on behalf of somebody else? Anything like that. I will quite often have a look at their recent activity. If they have made no posts, no comments, and bugger all engagement over the last couple of weeks, I will be hesitant about engaging with them, because the sort of people that I do business with, the sort of people that I want to engage with, are people that are active on LinkedIn, because that's my primary platform, and that's where I generally build my relationships. So you don't want to build a network full of crap and clutter. I also, while I refer to myself as, I won't say that again, as a promiscuous LinkedIn user, I also do a quarterly cull. So I go through my network and I spend about an hour to 2 hours culling people from my network every quarter. And that same process of what I do when I'm sort of filtering them coming in. One of the things that I do is every now and then people from countries and areas that I've got no affinity with slip through the net. So you can actually use the advanced filter feature to sort by country of origin. And so there are some countries that are known for spamming and things like that. So I will filter by Romania, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Russia, and that's a starting point, and then go through, and then I'll look at each of the individual profiles. Just because they come from India doesn't mean that I won't connect with them, because there is some amazing stuff coming out of there. And it's not all just about doing business, some of it's about education. Does that help?
I had that same similar question too, but I've got another question.
Mm-hmm.
In line with, what do you put up? Because I mean, I've had a profile on your page where I don't hardly even go on
Mm-hmm.
there, because it just was a bit overwhelming. How much stuff do you put on your profile? Like, I kind of started off like a CV, but then it's like, well, you put all
Yep.
the information on there. So what are people doing with
I would take the big lesson from that very, very first session this morning and tell your story. Okay? Change it to a CV if you're looking for a job. If you want to attract people and actually build a relationship, tell your story, tell your why, tell your ABT. Yeah?
It used to be a while ago that the number of connections, first connections that you had was very relevant, and people would look at you and you should have a certain number. Is that relevant anymore?
No, it's the value that you give that's relevant. And the more value you give, the faster you'll grow your network. So if you're thinking about what you put, and you're thinking about how do I actually develop that content, again, when the notes come out, I would strongly recommend that you look at the content that John from Mosh produces around how to develop a content calendar and schedule, and think about these 4 core types of posts. So rather than just spewing out the same stuff all the time, and this is to increase, again, your LTV factor, right? So kudos posts. Again, you're making it about them. So if I go and meet Jay tomorrow, I'm going to take an embarrassing selfie of the two of us. Yep. And go, you know what? It was so cool catching up with Jay. He's doing amazing stuff in the SEO world. I highly recommend him doing it. If you're in accounting, it can be you're out and you've gone to see their client. It doesn't have to be the selfie with them. It can be a picture of their business or a branded car. But elevate them. Give them kudos. Make it about them. What's going to happen? They're going to go, and tag them in it. They're going to go, oh, cool, right? Somebody's shouting out my name. I'm going to reply to that in my comments. Oh, and then what happens? Everyone in their connections sees your content in their feed. So kudos. And this is, again, so you've got engagement with intent. Your posting should be with intent as well. That's changed again. Commentary. Commentar. Why? Why do you commentar? I changed this, like, I came in and checked these, and I updated it, and then it's gone again. Anyway, so your commentar, is if there is something topical to your industry that is happening now, have an opinion. Don't be afraid to have an opinion. And I completely understand that in certain businesses and in certain industries, especially legal, banking, things like that, having an opinion is a dangerous thing. But you can have opinion about other stuff that is inside the sandbox that you're allowed to play in. Or find out what the bank's opinion is and help spread that message. And what's that doing? That's actually helping build the perception of authority that you've got on it, because you're prepared to put your head above the parapet and say something. Okay? And the beautiful thing about that, as much as you don't want to hear it, some people are going to go, what a load of bollocks. I don't agree with that at all. And that's okay, right? Because the other people are going to go, you know what? I agree with you 100%. And they're the people that are going to want to do business with you. And the people that were never going to do business with you in the first place because your values just aren't aligned, and they're going to naturally be attracted to do business with somebody else that they like, trust, and value, you're not wasting your time with them. Oh, it's happened again. Storytell. This is the ABT. This is your ABT. And this is really hard for most of us to do. I'm a prolific storyteller, and after doing 14 months of video on LinkedIn, I still have this little before I hit post, because you're sharing something personal about you, about something that you've just done, about something that you're struggling with. But what I tend to do is I take that personal experience and I'll put a slightly business spin on it. So how that relates to my business or my journey or what I'm dealing with. I talk a lot about mental health, and you'll be amazed at the amount of people that reach out to me and talk to me and say, I'm so glad that you're talking about this, and I don't do that out of ego to win business. It's something that I'm very, very passionate about, but it certainly increases my LTV factor with those people exponentially, because they value the fact that somebody's actually prepared to talk about it. You know, I'll do a video on LinkedIn and I'll say I'm having a shit day. And these are the things that are happening in my business. And, you know, this is what I know I'm going to need to do to get myself around it. I'm doing a fitness challenge at the moment, and there's some, you know, good, bad and ugly stuff that I'm posting on LinkedIn, and people go, oh, that's not Facebook. But then you'd be amazed at how many people turn around and say to me, God, it's so good to see that, because I'm facing the same struggles, and I know the impact that my mental health and my physical health have on my capability to do business. So this, for me, I'm living vicariously through what you're posting, and it's encouraging me to carry on out there and do things. So storytelling is incredibly important and incredibly powerful. It's that one of those pillars are around increasing that likability, the trust, and the value that you can add to your network. And it's from the storytelling that I get so many more inbound requests. So I get anywhere between 8 and 20 inbound messages a day. But I'm posting minimum 1 up to 4 times a day on LinkedIn. And educational. This is what most businesses are good at. All right? This is what most businesses stop at. Hey, Did you know about this? This is how you do it. Step 1, 2, 3, and 4. But if you get that same message every single day, or your business goes, well, we don't want to bombard people with this stuff, so we're just going to post once a week or once a fortnight, that's all they're getting. They're only seeing one dimension of you as people and one dimension of that business. But education is really, really good as well, because that's elevating your authority. It's showing that you actually know your shit. So you can start those posts off with things like, did you know? It may surprise you. If I was a. That's one of the strategies that I'm using at the moment is if I was a. So my company helps businesses do digital marketing. Okay, we teach them how to do it better. We coach it, we run programs, we run courses. And so I, every week, will put myself in somebody else's shoes and say, if I was a real estate agent, if I was a corporate banker, if I was a struggling artist, and I outline some of the strategies that I would implement to help increase my brand and to win business. And the amount of inbound messages that we get from those is ridiculous. So really, really important. Any other questions on posting while we're on this topic? Because it's an area that I think a lot of businesses struggle with in regards to the tone, the messaging, and things like that.
So
What's your thoughts? Oh, sorry. What's your thoughts on video?
Video? For those of you that weren't connected to me before, you're just about to get a consistent video stream. So video is not for everybody, but it will be the dominant medium. Yep. Yeah, something like 80% of people, and so it's 80-something, right, consume more video on Facebook and LinkedIn already than any other form, right? They're seeing that happening all the day. Ironically, posts with just text and no image also do incredibly well when it comes to reach. That doesn't mean that you can't do a post with just an image, by the way. But when it comes down to it, it's in the message. Okay, so when we're thinking about the intentional engagement and the intentional posting, I think even when I do video, I will always use up almost every single one of those 1,300 characters that you're allowed in every single post to actually give a synopsis of what that video is about. And I try and do it in a storytelling way. So even if it's an educational post, it's, set the scene, explain the process, and then tell them what the outcome should be. And very rarely do I have enough characters to fill it up. And there is a whole sort of bunch of stuff going around at the moment saying, research has now shown that people don't consume content in different ways. It's not visual and it's not audio and it's not. But I know from my experience, from the posts that I do, when I'm lazy and I'll do like a 3-line post with nothing else in it apart from the video, the metrics are way, way less. Because a lot of people will just want to read the post and they can't be asked listening to me rant on.
Could it also be that it's organically ranking the keywords?
That's where hashtags are actually important and relevant in LinkedIn. And if you go more, you can use it in your desktop. You can actually have a look at topics that are trending, and you'll see how many different people are interested in the different hashtags. So really good.
Specific recommendations about timing or time of day?
No, don't worry about it. One thing I will say is if you post in the morning, you've probably got a longer lifespan, but a post will generally have a 24 to 36 hour lifespan, okay, unless it gets a heap of engagement and carries on and things like that. Don't discount the value of LinkedIn articles. Now, LinkedIn articles is where I would post what we, evergreen content. So something that is like really good educational stuff, do a post, but then also create an article. Because when people check out your profile, one of the first things that is front and center is articles that I've written. I have started an article, it might sound a little egotistical, but it is nice things people say about me on LinkedIn. Nobody these days, how many people still get recommendations or testimonies on LinkedIn? But how many people have done a post and said, oh, it was so great to do such and such and such and such, or thank you so much for doing this, or I've just done this, LinkedIn training program with Glenn Marvin and it was the best thing I've ever done, da-da-da-da-da. Right, if they do that as a post, what lifespan has that got? What did I just say? 24 to 36 hours. And then it's gone pretty much forever. Unless you're prepared to scroll through that content for about 16 weeks to try and find a post that they made 2 weeks ago. So I've started screenshotting some of those posts and putting them into an article, because when somebody checks me out, it's like, bam, there is just a ton of references there for people to look at. And that, again, it helps with the credibility. I'm conscious of time.